Well, hello and welcome to our program tonight. It is so good to have you with us. Last week in my philosophizing section, y'all got to see me a little bit frustrated. Now, trust me, I don't get discouraged easily, and I was not discouraged. I was a little frustrated, the devil works in his way too, and I suppose it was God just sort of testing me a little bit. But let me thank all of you. So many of you encouraged me and basically hugged me, that sort of thing. And I appreciate that so much. I mean, really, that's what this thing is about, is us supporting each other, and loving each other and caring about each other. But let me tell you something, a little bit of encouragement. Counting there were several people said they were going to leave because of what was said about Abraham. We had 7 more people last week than we had the week before. So, let's just put it this way. I'm very encouraged, and I was not discouraged, but thank you for the hugs and the encouragement. And because of that, I'm going to, in our philosophizing section tonight, I'm going to tell you a story about a starfish. And I'm going to leave it until then, because if I start talking now, I'll get off on sidetracks and everything. But anyway, we had week before last, we had 121 people. Last week we had 128. And I'll get more into numbers whenever I get to my philosophizing section, because that has something to do with that. But we had well over 1,000 playbacks. And like I said, replays, there's no way we'll ever know what that's going to be, But we had a lot of replays during the week this week, And there again, people that didn't see the show last Friday night were encouraging during the week. So thank you for that. But I just wanted to let you know that. And don't worry, I'm not discouraged. I'm a hard-headed guy. It's hard to crack this thing up here, But nonetheless, I can't wait to get the philosophizing section tonight, because I want to encourage you. And I think this little story about the starfish will encourage you. And it will help you understand what we're doing and what we're trying to start from this little kernel, how important it is. But for right now, let's get to the musical portion of our program. For our first song tonight, I'm going to do a song for you by a lady that was written by a lady named Fanny Crosby. Fanny Crosby was well known. She was a star of the 1800s. She was blind from a procedure that a doctor was trying to do on her eyes when she was about 6 weeks old. So she was blind from early on. And she once said, my blindness has allowed me to see things that other people can't see because they're distracted by the beauty of the earth. And she said, I've been able to see on a deeper spiritual level because I can't see those things. And in her lifetime, she wrote between 8,000 and 9,000 songs. And by songs, I mean she wrote the poem to the song. Other people set the music to it. William Bradbury did some of her music. Doan did some of her music. But anyway, she's responsible for some 8,000 or 9,000 songs. She wrote Blessed Assurance. She wrote I Am Thine, O Lord. Tell Me the Story of Jesus. I mean, I'd be here a long time if I named off 8,000 songs, but those are some of the ones you'll more readily recognize. But she said that she was in a meeting one night at a prison, and she was reading some of her poetry and some of her songs were being sung. And she said there was one guy that just kept saying, pass me not, calling out to God, in other words, don't leave me out, basically I'm a prisoner, but don't leave me out, And that so moved her that she went home and wrote the words to Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior. And it became the song that we know today. A fellow named Doan put the music to it. She wrote the words in 1868, and he wrote the music in 1870. And he did a collection of work that he had put music to, and that was the first time in 1870 that the public had seen this particular song. But I'm going to do my version of it for you tonight. It's called pass me not, O gentle Savior.
Pass me not, O gentle Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Let me at thy throne of mercy find the sweet relief. Kneeling there in deep contrition, help my unbelief. Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Trusting only in thy merit, would I seek thy face. Heal my wounded, broken spirit, save me by thy grace. Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Thou, the spring of all my comfort, more than life to me. Whom have I on earth beside thee? Whom in heaven but thee? Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by.
Virgil and Blanche Brock were a married couple that wrote together some 500 songs. Virgil didn't know anything about music theory, but his wife played piano, and she was well versed in music and composition and that sort of stuff. So between them, they wrote some 500 songs. But this particular song, this was their most popular song. Hank Williams did a version of it as Luke the Drifter in 1950. And then Pat Boone did a version of it in 1959. And an English fellow by the name of Lonnie Donegan did it. I believe he did it in 1969, but don't hold me to that. I'm thinking that was the correct year. But anyway, the song's been done several times. And somebody even added a recitation to it in 1936. I did not do the recitation in my version because I don't think of myself as a recitator. I don't talk well on records, so I didn't do that part. But some people do that, and they do include that. But this, I'm sure you remember this old song. This is that great song that Virgil and Blanche wrote called "Beyond the Sunset."
beyond the sunset. Oh, blissful morning, when with our Savior heaven is begun. Earth's toiling ended, oh, glorious dawning, beyond the sunset, when day is done. Beyond the sunset, no clouds will gather, no storms will threaten, no fears annoy. O day of gladness, O day unending, beyond the sunset, eternal joy. Beyond the sunset, a hand will guide me to God the Father, whom I adore. His glorious presence, His words of welcome will be my portion on that fair shore. Beyond the sunset, oh, glad reunion with our dear loved ones who've gone before. In that fair homeland, we'll know no parting, beyond the sunset, forevermore. Beyond the sunset, forevermore.
Right now I'm going to do you a song from my Angel Band CD. It was written by Stuart Hamblin. Stuart Hamblin was one of those early stars in radio and the movies. He was the first cowboy singer on the air. Might not have been the biggest, but he was the first. And he had constant problems with alcohol, but he was so popular that the radio people would go and bail him out. He'd get put in jail, for his escapades, and then they'd go bail him out, and And this went on until he met Billy Graham, and of course he got saved through Billy Graham, and I'll tell that story in another episode, so I won't repeat it here. But this song was done in 1954 by Rosemary Clooney, went to _1 here and in the United Kingdom. By here I mean the USA. And Shakin' Stevens took it to #1 again in the United Kingdom in 1981. But and by the way, Stuart Hamblin was the first person signed to Decca Records. I think that was back in the 30s. So that's a little bit of history for you there. But this song just went on to become so popular. People love this song. And there's no telling how many people recorded. I won't even try to start naming how many people have recorded this song, but I'm going to do you my version tonight, and it's called This Old House.
This old house once knew my children. This old house once knew my wife. This old house was home and comfort as we fought the storms of life. This old house once rang with laughter. This old house heard many a shout. Now she trembles in the darkness when the night wind walks about. Ain't gonna need this house no longer. Ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles, ain't got time to fix the floor, ain't got time to oil the hinges, nor to mend no window pane. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, I'm a-getting ready to meet the saints. This old house is getting shaky, this old house is getting old. This old house lets in the rain, and this old house lets in the cold. On my knees I'm getting chilly, but I feel no fear or pain, 'cause I see an angel peeking through a broken window pane. I ain't gonna need this house no longer, ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles, ain't got time to fix the floor, ain't got time to oil the hinges, nor to mend no window pane. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, I'm a-getting ready to meet the saints. My old hound dog lies asleeping, he don't know I'm gonna leave, else he'd wake up by the fireplace and he'd sit there growl and grieve. But my hunting days are over, I ain't gonna hunt for food no more. Gabriel done brought in the chariot when the wind blew down that door. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles, ain't got time to fix the floor, ain't got time to oil the hinges, nor to mend no window pane. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, I'm a-getting ready to meet the saints. I ain't gonna need this house no longer, ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles, ain't got time to fix the floor, ain't got time to oil the hinges, nor to mend no window pane. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, I'm a-getting ready to meet the saints. I ain't gonna need this house no longer, I'm a-getting ready to meet the saints.
For our philosophizing section tonight, I want to tell you a story about a little starfish in a minute. But before I do that, I want to point out something, because it'll tie into the starfish thing. We are all philosophers in our own way. Some of us think deeper about it than others. Some people don't even realize that they have a philosophy, but the way that you conduct yourself and the way you believe and your moral standards and all that in essence is your philosophy. Now, you may not ponder it, you may not think about it a lot, but it is that. And my daddy was a preacher, and of course a preacher is very much a philosopher. I don't know if you preachers or teachers out there have ever thought about that, but you're teaching a philosophy. I mean, we live our philosophy. In fact, in the Bible, it says we should live our life in a way that we attract, let others see Jesus in you. You know, that's much more effective than trying to condemn people. If they see you living a decent life and they see you happy, they're going to want some of that. All right, the door's open now. You still don't have to tell them how wrong they are. You just share with them how you found your joy. They're smart enough to put two and two together. You know? That's much more effective. I think, you know, granted, there's a lot of people been saved because they were scared to death of going to hell. But, you know, you miss a little something. If you become a Christian because you're scared of going to hell or because you just want that mansion in the sky, that may work. That might get you there. But you're going to miss a lot of joy here on earth. You know, I mean, you can be happy between now and then. You don't have to be waiting to die just so you can be happy. So I guess that's the kind of, that's my philosophy, you know. But anyway, because my daddy was a philosopher, it made me think philosophically all my life. Mozart's daddy was a music teacher. You know, by the time he was 4 or 5 years old, he's writing music. No wonder he was I mean, first of all, he was a genius to start off with, but his daddy enhanced that, because he was able to teach him about those things. Well, so my daddy was an influence. Oh, and parents, don't underestimate the influence you have on your kids. It's important all their life to have your approval and your teaching and your guidance. Do it in a loving way, and they'll receive it better. But there's other ways to do it too. But all my life, I wanted my mom and daddy to be happy with me. But for about 20 years, I know they weren't. Because I wasn't happy with myself during that time. I get a little emotional when I talk about this. In fact, I already had to stop this segment one time because I got so far into the emotion I couldn't continue talking. So maybe I can get through it this time. But God puts us here. We're important to God. God does not give all of us visibility. People who are in the spotlight, preachers and teachers and entertainers and all that, that looks glamorous, but trust me, that's only an hour or two a day. You got 20 other hours to fill during that time. It's not as glamorous as you might think. I did it all my life. That's what I did for a living. Not as glamorous as you would think. But if you don't think a doctor's important, next time you need, or a dentist, for example, next time you need a tooth pulled, you're going to find out he's real important. You may not think the guy that picks up your garbage is important. Let him not come for about 30 days. You see what I'm saying? So all of us have a certain, people need to fix our cars. There's just, all of us are put here for a purpose, and we serve people, and that's a blessing to them, which in turn is a blessing to us if we approach it in the right way. Okay, I've said all that to say this. Our little group, we started out averaging about 70 or 75 people. We've grown to average about 120, somewhere along in there. Sometimes we do more, sometimes not quite as many. Now, in some terms, that's a big crowd if you're trying to compare it to 30 or 40, but when you compare it to the tens of thousands that might be watching a network show, not very much at all. So we can say, well, not very important, we don't have much impact. But here's the story. A young man was walking along the beach one day, and he was throwing starfish back. And some fellow walked up behind him, young man, what are you doing? He said, well, the tide's going out, and these starfish they can't get back to the water, and so I'm just throwing them back. He said, young man, he said, don't you realize you're not making much of a difference? There's 100 miles of this beach here, and there's hundreds of those. He said, yeah, I might not make a difference to them, but the ones I throw back, I make a lot of difference to them. So the point is this. It doesn't matter how few it is. To the ones we make a difference, it might make a big difference in their life. So always think of what you do. Remember, people are watching you. Try to live in such a way that you will attract them to the way that you live. And then that opens the door for your testimony. Does that make sense? But anyway, every time I start to think about that I'm discouraged or whatever, I remember that story. I heard a preacher tell that one night. My group was singing somewhere, and before we sang, he told that story. That hit home to me, and I've never forgotten it. We can play for 10,000 or we can play for 10. But if only one of them is affected, that's important to them. That might make all the difference in their life. So God's not asking us to save the world. We'd like to. I'd love to feed the world. I'd love to clothe the world. I'd love for everybody to be happy. That's not a practical thought. It's not going to happen. The world's in too much turmoil. But what little difference we can make, the kindness that we show, the respect that we show for others, it's important. You are important to God. And what we do is important. So I appreciate the encouragement last week, but I was not discouraged. I was just frustrated, And when I looked back at the video, I could tell it was showing, and I'm human. I am affected by things, but I was more frustrated that I was starting to see that that's how the devil works. He gets us arguing and disagreeing, and that kind of messes with us, But in the end, we wound up with more last week than we had the week before. So, I guess I was frustrated over nothing. I hate that we lost those that we did, because I love them too. But one guy says, Bird, I think he was a pastor. He said, one thing I've learned, you can't please everybody. Well, I guess I already knew that, but it's good to be reminded of that sometime, But anyway, I just want to encourage you tonight. You are important to God, and you can make a difference in other people's life, and sometimes you don't even realize you did. Sometimes it's just because they watch you. And there are people that you are important to that you may not even realize, So anyway, that's all I wanted to do. Don't forget the story of the starfish. You are important to God, and you are very important to those that you make a difference in their life. For our next song tonight, I'm going to do you a song that means a lot to me. It was one of the first songs that I put up on YouTube. And of course, it comes from that first album that I did for my mom and dad, and where I had picked out all these old gospel songs, and I had no idea what it was leading to, but the Lord had things in mind for me, and they presented themselves as time went by, but it took a while for all that to happen. But anyway, after putting that first album out and starting to play gospel music, people just kept telling me they love these old songs. Well, the more I heard that, I guess 5, 6, 7 years had gone by, and I had been doing gospel music during that period of time. After my earlier secular years, I left that behind me and just went strictly into doing gospel music. Once I made that change, it was complete. I was never going to play the bars again. I just wasn't going to play secular music again. I was going to do gospel music come rain or shine. And, but we were blessed, and we were able to build a studio with state-of-the-art equipment and our cameras and stuff. Well, this early stuff, the cameras weren't quite so good yet, but they got better as time went by. But these early things, in the early stages of YouTube, you could only put up a video with low resolution. But everybody was doing it, and I thought, well, these songs, people seem to love these songs. Maybe they'll be a blessing to people that watch YouTube, and YouTube was not nearly then what it is now. But anyway, I put up 8 or 10 songs, and this was one of the songs that I put up. And I put them up, and it came time for me to retire from singing because I was starting to have little memory lapses, and I couldn't remember my words instantly like I had never had that problem. So I never had any fear of being on stage. That was my domain. I loved it. It was like, I'm not so good with people one-on-one, but you give me a crowd of a few hundred or a few thousand, however many, it doesn't matter, give me my stage, I'm in my element then, But once that started to happen, I started having these anxiety attacks because I was afraid I was going to forget my words. And I was getting to be 65 years old, and I'm going, it's time to hang up the cleats. I can do other things, and I had retired to my little place up in the mountains, and I was starting to do woodwork, which is kind of my second love. Music will always be my first love. But I love doing little things with wood. I like carpentering, I enjoy that. I wouldn't really want to get up and go make a living at it. I say that, I do love it. I enjoy it. But God didn't call me to do that. He called me to do music. But I needed a little time. So I had about 5, 6, 7 years there that I made wood videos, and that channel just sort of limped along. It was fun to do, but it didn't really do anything. And because I wasn't that special at being a woodworker, it was just something I enjoyed doing, But anyway, I looked down one day, and all of a sudden, this song had a lot of views. And I'm going, whoa, maybe YouTube is the vehicle. Maybe maybe we can have a second career here and I won't have to leave the house. So my wife came up with the idea. I love this woman. I love this woman. She says, baby, we had plans for me having a little studio out right behind the house, but it was going to take tearing down an old barn, and it was going to be 2 or 3 more. She said, why don't you go up there on the hill? She said, there's a little area up there. And she said, go check that. She said, why don't you just build your little studio up there? You can start that right now. And I go, you know, sometimes this woman's smart. She's smart all the time, trust me. But anyway, we got to looking it over, and we started checking out, see if we could do it financially, and it worked out where we could, you know, and I was going to have to do the work. Most of, when you see a house built, a large part of what it costs to build that house is labor. Well, I had learned, you know, you can build a pyramid 1 brick at a time if you got enough time, you know, and being retired, I thought, well, you know, so I thought I could throw up this, I've got a little 20 by 24, 16 by 24 building that I built, and there's a little storage area on the side. But I thought, you know, I could probably knock this out in 3 or 4 months. I didn't realize I had gotten much older. By this time I was 74 years old, you know, so I didn't realize I wasn't able to just get up and kill it for 8 hours or 10 hours sometimes, you know, like I could do when I was younger. But we did do it. 1 board at a time, 1 sheet of plywood at a time, 1 sheet of OSB at a time. Took us a year, but we wound up with our little studio up here, and I moved all my equipment up here. And suddenly the YouTube thing started to explode. And we started putting out more and more videos. And then, of course, it came time for me I finally came up with the idea of doing a live stream program, you know, because YouTube is like having your own little television station. It's just whatever you want to do with it, whatever your imagination can come up with, you know. And so anyway, here we are at 75 doing this TV thing and doing the videos and stuff, and I'm enjoying a second career. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. But anyway, I got off track there. I didn't mean to do that. You know, I easily go off onto these little tributaries when I'm starting to talk. But anyway, Sweet By and By will always mean a lot to me because it was the song that really opened my eyes to what YouTube could be. So we're going to do our version of it for you tonight in the Sweet By and By.
There's a land that is brighter than day, and by faith we can see it afar. For the Father waits over the way to prepare us a dwelling place there. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall sing on that beautiful shore the melodious songs of the blessed, and our spirits shall sorrow no more. Not a sigh for the blessing of rest. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. Our bountiful Father above, we will offer our tribute of praise for the glorious gift of His love and the blessings that hallow our day. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. By and by, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. By and by, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall meet on that beautiful shore.
The next song I'm going to do was written by a fellow named Squire Parsons. Took me a while, but I finally found several other beulah lands when people would ask for it, but it wasn't this one. This is the one they were wanting. And so it finally made it on my Lord Build Me a Cabin in the Corner of Glory Land CD. But Squire Parsons was born in 1948 in West Virginia. His father was a deacon and a choir leader in their church. And one night, Squire said he remembered his father singing, they did some song about Beulah land. And so the congregation just reacted so positively to it that he never forgot that thought. And years later, he was a school teacher. And so he was driving to school one morning, and he said the sun came up over the mountain in those West Virginia mountains, and said it was just gorgeous. And he had been humming this Beulah land song for whatever reason that he grew up singing. But he said when that sun hit him, all of a sudden the tune changed, and it became the chorus to Sweet Beulah Land. Well, he said he got to school and said he was able to write out the chorus rather quickly because he had already had that. And he said before the kids got there, he had finished the first verse. Now, this was in 1973. But he didn't write the second verse until 1979. And of course, then he recorded it with the Kingsmen. And it became the song of the year in 1981, probably because of the success of that recording in one of the gospel fan news charts. Anyway, it was number one on that chart. But a lot of people have recorded this song, and it has just gone on to become a favorite of so many people. So we're going to do our version for you tonight. It's that great old song called Sweet Beulah Land.
Kind of homesick for a country to where I've never been before. No sad goodbye will there be spoken, for time won't matter anymore. Beulah land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand, and there my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. I'm looking now across the river to where my my faith will end in sight. A few more days to wait and labor, and then I'll take my heavenly flight. Beulah land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand, and there my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land, Beulah land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand, and there my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land, Beulah land, sweet Beulah land.
For our next song tonight, I'm going to do you a song that's taken from my third album, Turn Your Radio On. I spent a good bit of time researching songs, looking for songs, listening to people's requests, trying to put songs on my CDs that people would enjoy. And this particular song has that little bass line in it. Now let us, and I, like many other groups that did this song through the 50s and 60s, and I guess in the 40s as well, I thought it would make a great quartet song because of that little bass line. So I did it in a quartet style. But I'm going to do it for you tonight. It's that great old song called Just a Little Talk with Jesus.
I once was lost in sin, but Jesus took me in, and then a little light from heaven filled my soul. It bathed my heart in love and wrote my name above, and just a little talk with Jesus made me whole. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our trouble. He will hear our faintest cry, and he will answer by and by. When you feel a little prayer will turn, you will know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Sometimes my path seems drear without a ray of cheer, and then a cloud of doubt may hide the light of day. The mist of sin may rise and hide the starry skies, but just a little talk with Jesus clears the way. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our trouble. He will hear our faintest cry. He will answer by and by. When you feel a little prayer will turn, you will know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. I may have doubts and fears, my eyes be filled with tears, but Jesus is a friend who watches day and night. I go to him in prayer, he knows my every care, and just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our trouble. He will hear our faintest cry. He will answer by and by. When you feel a little prayer will turn to you, will know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our trouble. He will hear our faintest cry. He will answer by and by. When you feel a little prayer will turn to you, will know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Yes, you will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right.
Right now, I just want to remind you about our website, www.birdyeomans.com. All my CDs are there. My double CDs are there. My songbook's there. There's a couple of specials that we have there. And just want to invite you to come by and take a look at it. If you have any questions, my wife Linda will be glad to help you. Her email address is linda@birdyeomans.com. And thank you so much for being a part of our program. And now we're just going to get you back to the musical portion of the show. For our last song tonight, I'm going to do you a song that was written by Isaiah Martin. It's been published in over 45 hymnals. The Happy Goodmans did a version, the Statler Brothers did a version, the Chuck Wagon Gang did a version, the Blackwood Brothers did a version, among many. And it just became one of the popular songs, particularly in the evangelical era back at the turn of the 20th century, and became popularized by using it in the tent meetings and camp meetings that went on at that time. But tonight I'm going to do you my version of this great old song. It's called The Eastern Gate.
The morning, just inside the eastern gate. Then be ready, faithful pilgrim, lest with you it be too late. I will meet you, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you, I will meet you in the morning over there. If you hasten off to glory, linger near the eastern gate. For I'm coming in the morning, so you'll not have long to wait. I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning over there. Keep your lamps all trimmed and burning, for the bridegroom watch and wait. He'll be with us at the meeting, just inside the eastern gate. I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning over there. That glad meeting with the saints who for us wait. what a blessed happy meeting, just inside the eastern gate. I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning, I will meet you in the morning over there. I will meet you in the morning over there.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Just always a joy to play for you and sing for you and talk with you. And I just look forward to, trust me, I look as forward to Friday nights as some of you say you do. You know, it's just a wonderful place to be on Friday night. But before I go, don't forget my website, www.birdyeomans.com. And any questions you might have, Linda will be glad to help you. Her email address is linda@birdyeomans.com. Be kind to each other this week. I love you. I'll see you next Friday night.